Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Scribes and Scrolls. This is episode 104, Witches, Wishes, and Whatnot. And there's something a little special about this particular episode, and that it is our finale. Now, I know we haven't been here for a little while. It's taken some time to get the gang all together. Do this. I think maybe subconsciously we were all reluctant to call it an end. But I mean, look at that session number 104. 104 regular sessions, and I believe with the interludes we had something like 9 total interludes. So we've done over 113 sessions of this game. That's easily I gotta imagine that's somewhere around 400 hours of playing this game.
That outshines any campaign I've ever been in.
And we started this game, well, yes, it started as D&D, and we switched it to Pathfinder 2, but we started at level 1. Mm-hmm. And we went all the way through. You guys leveled up approximately equal level when we switched to Pathfinder. You are now Pathfinder level 10, which is a little more powerful than D&D. I think you guys might have been hit level 12 or something like that if we had stayed in D&D. But regardless, this is only the second campaign that I've taken characters from level 1 all the way through to the end, and M gets to be here for that one too. It's Tomb of Annihilation, the first campaign I ever streamed. And the first campaign I, as a dungeon master, ever ran was Tomb of Annihilation.
Holy cow.
So yeah, this is going to be the final episode, Scribes and Scrolls. We are going to future Jake has already given you some announcements and things like that, so we're not going to go through any of that kind of stuff. Instead, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a recap and bring us up to speed, and then we will see what happened in this final session of Scribes and Scrolls. So before I begin the recap, I'm going to ask you for one last time, Cari.
Oh.
What time is it?
It's time to find some paths, bitches. It's like, what am I doing? This is a pop quiz. I forgot.
All right. So it's there we go. You had spent quite some time making your way toward a mythological, a fabled thing called the Black Lotus. You had been trying for so long to get to the Blood Moon, to get to this temple that only appears every 10 years during a blood moon, so that the Black Lotus can bathe under the light of the blood moon to gain its full magical properties. Along your journeys, you have lost some companions. The half-orc Vorn was taken prisoner and essentially killed by the shadow sorceress, the shadow witch, Ravonna Shadowheart. Your turtle paladin companion, Togo, never made it out of the lair of the Medusa and the living stone creatures that were down there, himself having been turned into statue. Your scribe wizard, the dark elf Mizya, was, just as you were preparing to deal with some hillbilly ogres, Mizya was called home by the Cavernels. And Mizia never made it back to you. You did find Teera, your long-lost brother. Torin, now known as Cain Malgrim. You also learned that Cain had taken up with a shape-shifting member of the Bear Clan, who coincidentally happened to be the daughter of Vorn's former lover. And apparently Cain and her had a child together that he was trying to keep secret and safe from your mother. Also along the way, your large companion, Doc, did not make the transition when you left the grandfather tree. Instead, a very verbose, some would say arrogant, others would say incredibly knowledgeable goblin named Flip. Somewhere a cape is automatically flowing in the wind. Emerged from the cocoon and has joined you ever since. And though, as he would say, that he had no skin in this game, he stayed with you this whole time. And there's no argument. Flip kept a lot of you alive. You probably wouldn't have made it as far as you did without this goblin Flip. Also along the way, shortly after Togo's unfortunate stoning, you picked up an older halfling whose mysterious past always seemed to cast a shadow. Marta, who joined you for quite some time. Every time casting particular magics to help you all and keep you safe. Some hint of the shadows and mystery of Marta would present itself. And then one day Marta went into meditation and did not come out of that meditation. Instead, transforming into a corpse root tree on the deck of your airship. Recently, you had found some information that pointed you in the right direction of where exactly you needed to go as you got closer. After a brief interlude in the desert with the orcish city and with the diversion into Melina's frozen mountain, where Teera found out that her father was the essentially the frozen king in this tomb of ice, but also was not actually her father. Nonetheless, you were able to leave from there via airship and make your way to where you needed to go. Though you wound up, due to the results of an aerial fight, you wound up crashing the airship side of the mountain, where all of you had some pretty disturbing visions. But it was in the wake of those visions that Melina Frostheart's walking hut, her cabin walking on two massive chicken legs, appeared out of the forest. And when it settled down into the earth, the door opened, and it was Cain's young daughter who came out, who you learned he had named Teera. In going inside and talking with Melina Frostheart, you learned that Melina was basically delivering you to the entry point of the temple and demanding that you retrieve the Black Lotus for her. And before you got any ideas, she showed you that she had linked her life force to the young Teera, 5-year-old Teera's life force, by cutting her own palm and the wound showing up on little Teera, to dissuade you from hurting her. And then she sent you off into the tomb, the temple, where you made rather quick work of fighting your way through. Flip had an ingenious plan with the help of one of the Rosgadai who was a little dissatisfied with things. Summoned the dragon that kept all of the Rosgadai monks busy so you could make it down into the lower level, where you faced 3 trials. Upon completing the trials of Shadow, Fire, and Mirror, you emerged into a cavern full of water where aquatic Oni were trying to drag you down and drown you, while the Black Lotus bathed on a small island in the middle in the light of the blood moon through the opening 100 feet above. A magical shield creating a barrier through which no living thing could pass. After defeating the spirit of Monazusa, the former master of the temple, whom the monks wanted to use the Black Lotus to resurrect, Flip made a rather rash decision and jumped headfirst into the magical barrier. And it is at that point, as moments later, a large, well, I'm not gonna reiterate that part. I'm actually we'll go back to that point where the hand emerges, and that's where we're going to pick up, and I will let Cari tell us what happened after Flip jumped into the barrier.
Hi, Teera.
Doc?
Yes?
I got like a lot of questions, but I don't know if now's the time. And I look around. We had just fought a shit ton of enemies in this room, right?
Yes.
Oh my god. And I'm kind of frantically still looking around, just waiting for something else to jump out of the water. And I'm like, how did you get here? Where's Flip? What do you know?
Yes?
Well, then what's going on?
That's a great question, Teera. Many, many moons ago, a goblin king and a goblin queen got together, and they had some goblin fun. Roughly 3 or 4 months later, Flip was born.
Yeah.
And then
how it happens.
6 years passed, and then, he met you, and so on
Where
and so
do
forth.
you come in? Where do you come in?
Oh, how do I explain? Sometimes people share a point in space.
Okay.
It doesn't always work out that way, but sometimes they can intersect, which is what happened in the grandfather tree. You see, I wasn't born to this world. I don't belong here. This isn't my home. But when I found myself in the grandfather tree, Flip's line and my line, they intersected. And that allowed him to sort of emerge from the grandfather tree and allowed me to go home. Which, for my part, is probably pretty good. But then I heard something. It was like an echo in my mind. Like somebody needed my help. It was your voice, Teera, and it said, help, help. And then I heard it, and then I heard Flip say, begrudgingly, okay, fine. And then here I am.
Well, and Teera just still kind of looks really confused, and then kind of without saying anything else, she just hugs Doc hard.
Oh. Doc will look down at Teera, and he'll gently gently pat her on the back. Oh, it's lovely to see you too as well, Teera.
Kane steps in behind Teera and kind of puts a firm hand on your shoulder, Doc. Not gonna lie, it's good to see you.
Oh my goodness, Kane! It's. I see you.
Teera, as you hug Doc,
Yeah.
you feel a warmth and familiarity. You feel better. And Kane actually kind of, you notice as Kane reaches out and pats Doc's shoulder, you see the bruises and the blood on Kane's knuckles sort of fix themselves. And you realize that there's been this sort of, almost like the remnants of the aura that was protecting the Black Lotus Doc had absorbed it and somehow converted it, as you and Kane are fully healed.
Holy shit. Okay.
And then Kane says, wait, where's the flower? As you look over, and where the Black Lotus was in this protective shield, there is the remnants of the stalk that the flower was growing.
Yeah, I guess Teera would start like looking around. Maybe it just got knocked elsewhere or something.
Doc looks down at his hands and he wants to see if he grabbed the flower.
You look down at your large gray hands and you open them, and you see in one of your hands the flower, Black Lotus. And you see that it has 4 petals.
I guess Teera would probably notice him noticing. You're like, Doc, you got it.
That was the whole point.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly simple to get here.
Kane
Crossing time, miles, space.
Kane involuntarily reaches towards the flower in your hand.
Doc is gonna push his hand away. No, let's take it easy there, Kane.
I think as soon as Doc starts complaining about how long he had to travel to get here and like how big of a pain in the ass it was, he'd be like, I think he flip rubbed off on him somehow.
I don't think so. I don't think we've ever met, technically. And there's a Doc he's gonna sort of like his face is kind of itchy and he's just like rubbing some dust off his face and
I would like look at Kane after he tries to grab the lotus and just be like, I think it's probably safest with him. We can use it as soon as we get out of here and as soon as we can be sure we're safe.
He kind of looks at Doc, who is still quite a bit larger than himself. And he just kind of, yeah. Speaking of which, how are we going to get out of here? And he kind of looks up from the island where you guys are standing, and it's the opening to the well where the moonlight was coming down is 100 feet up.
Shit.
And that well is in the courtyard of the temple to which you entered.
Did I already use my wings today? Yes, I did. Fuck.
Used them in the trial of the flame.
God damn it. And Teera just like looks up and she looks back. She was about to say back the way we came, but didn't they lock us in here? Like they shut us in with the trials, right?
Well, you came out, after the third trial, you came out through a door into this room and went right for the...
Right.
Looking back, there are 3 doors. And they all open in from each of presumably, depending on which order you did the trials in, they all open
Mhm.
into this area. I would like everybody to make a perception check.
21.
Oh yeah,
35.
Jesus Christ. So
Um,
perceptive, yeah.
see, Kane is an 18. Doc, so you got a 21, Teera?
Yeah, 21.
So, Teera, as you look, Kane's looking around, like, just doing that scanning, looking for any possible advantage. Teera, you notice that the doors, all 3 doors, are starting to, like somebody's trying to get through from the other side. And then one of them bursts open, and you see, which I think we had established was like 60 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
You see out of the first door, then the other 2 open. You see out of each door, half a dozen or more Rosgadai monks starting to file out. But while this is happening, Doc, you realize where you're standing on this island with the blood moonlight streaming down. As you start to think about how to get out of here, you notice that in the light of the moon, you see your hand. It almost looks like particles of your hand starting to lift up into the light. And with that 35, you realize that the 3 of you, if you just will it, can step into the moonlight and be transported up to the top.
If you can dream it, you can do it, Teera. Just step into the moonlight and will it to be so. Say, I want to go up, and you will.
As he says that, you see Doc just, it's like the topmost portions of Doc just start going.
And as I'm starting to get pulled up, Doc reaches back and he grabs this large hammer that was sort of at the base of the at the pillar. It's like 10 feet long, and it's like just a massive stone on the end of it. It's like, oh, don't want to forget this.
And Teera sees him go, and she just steps into the moonlight, and like I imagine it's much less like adorable. Like she just kind of like crunches up her face and starts to like hopefully go up. She doesn't say anything out loud, but she just thinks about how fucking bad she wants to get out of here.
Just for fun, and I'm going to use the Teera dice to do this.
Great.
Roll me a D100.
Oh,
say there's
good.
a 30% chance of something happening.
Okay. I got a 25.
So, okay. You do not go rushing at high speed.
Oh, good. It's a gentle ascent.
It's kind of like you're standing there like this, and I imagine there's this moment where you're not sure if something's happening.
Yeah.
And you kind of peek, and you see your own arm going shoo, 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 as you
oh god,
seem to almost dissolve. And then Kane kind of goes, wait, and Kane's already like pulling his crossbow out. And he kind of looks over his shoulder, sees Doc pretty much gone, and you doing the same thing, and he goes, wait for me, and he turns and he just fires the crossbow as he steps in, and the crossbow bolt just makes it out of that as you see the rest of him go and a moment later, the 3 of you are now standing in the courtyard amidst a dozen Rosgadai corpses. They appear to be smoldering still, victims of the fire drake that Flip had summoned.
Hell yeah.
And you know
Flip.
that to the west, is the entrance, or rather the exit. It'll take you out to the main entrance of the whole temple.
Teera just looks at Kane and like nods. I would imagine he probably nods in unison, and we just start fucking sprinting. And Teera goes, last one out's a rotten egg, Doc. And she's freaking running as fast as she can.
I don't think there's any circumstance where I could turn into a rotten egg. That's just silly. And Doc is going to head toward the western door.
As you head through the first door into that large area with the large open, like I guess vestibule. From the northern point, a door opens, and you see a familiar blue-skinned, now being depicted mostly as an Oni. Your former friend, formerly known as Little One, now known as Vaughn Reed. Spectacles still perched on his nose, and he's coming out kind of in a hurry as he's rushing forward. Teera! Teera!
Teera like comes to a stop with her boots on the ground.
Kane comes rushing past, and he kind of grabs you. He's like, come on, we gotta go.
Just a minute. And like Teera is Vaughn like back, or is he to the side, or like
as you were heading out, he would have been to your right,
okay.
So he's coming down from that northern door. He's only like 30 feet away.
I tell Kane to keep going and that I'll catch up.
Vaughn kind of he does that sort of jogging motion, which you can almost feel through the stone floor because he's quite large. That sort of
exactly. This place is gonna fucking come down around our ears.
I'm a bit out of practice. Just sitting in the library for so long.
Yeah, not a ton of cardio in the library.
Yeah, I know you're about to leave.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna stay here, like I said, which means
right.
I won't even be on this plane of existence for at least another 10 years.
Right.
I was doing some looking around after you headed downstairs, and I made contact with a friend of yours.
Yeah. Who?
He kind of looks around, and you can just hear from the direction you're coming from. You can hear the sound of a distant door opening and the sound of many feet. And he goes, "No time to explain."
Many feet, like M-A-N-Y or M-I-N-I, mini feet,
no,
tiny feet. Okay.
Many feet.
Just making sure. It's important to be specific here.
Carrie's over here trying to will tiny monks into existence.
I was hoping. I was really hoping.
Nope, it's many feet.
Many feet. Got it.
As Vaughn says, no time to explain. Just know that they send their love. And they said, have a mimosa on them? And he hands you 3 purple feather quills.
Oh my god.
They're full-on quill pens, but they're purple. And you would immediately recognize these are the same type of quills that a certain wizard friend of yours always used.
Oh my god.
He kind of tucks them into a pocket of your pack. And he kind of looks like he wants to give you a big hug, and instead he just squeezes your shoulders and then shoves you towards the door.
And Teera would look back real quick and just say, when you're bored in 10 years, come find us. And then she just fucking runs.
And you take off running after where Doc and Kane went. Making it through 2 more doors. Exiting the final door. And heading down the many stairs that led up to the temple. You are outside of the temple. What you don't see is after you leave, back in the courtyard, the Rosgadai monks are streaming out of the training area that was the entrance down into the trials. And the large Oni, known as Vaughn Reed, blocking their way out. As he glances up and you see the blood moon is shifting away, and even looking down, the camera almost coming down through, back down to where the remnants of the Black Lotus was. You can see that the blood moon is almost completely away from shining down into that path, as Vaughn makes almost just a casual gesture. And on the far part of the courtyard, a rift opens as stones drop down, opening into that area below. Essentially, he creates a chasm between him and the monks, holding them off. And as the three of you descend the stairs of the Temple of the Black Lotus, in the same way that you, behind you, the temple begins to except it doesn't go up. It appears to only go up about maybe 50 feet, and then until the entire temple leaves this plane of existence.
Badass. Fuck yeah.
The three of you descend the bottom of the stairs.
Wow.
You're out of the temple.
Holy shit.
4 petals of the Black Lotus in Doc's possession. You see across the field, there sits the cabin. The moonlight still casting a red pallor across everything, but the moon is moving towards the horizon. There's still several hours of moonlight before it sets. You suspect this moon will persist into the daylight. But in the east, you can also see those first red lines of the sunlight just beginning its ascent. And glancing over at where the cabin of Melina Frostheart is, you see, standing next to it, the massive corpse root arboreal form of Marta. Marta, you are standing in your arboreal corpse root form, or at least part of the time having been pacing after the others left, knowing that the witch is inside the cabin and Cain's daughter is in there with her. You watched as the goblin Flip and the humans Teera and Cain headed into the temple. And it's been hours since they left. And then you see it. You see the front door open, and you see them descending the stairs. And it's after those stairs, or after they're descending the stairs and coming to the base of them, that you watch as this temple dissolves away into the moonlight, ending its 10-year momentary appearance on this plane of existence. As you see, though, another figure with them. Not the goblin, but Doc. What do you do?
So is Marta able to move, or
Yes.
is she
You
rooted?
are. Think of it like this: you're basically like a tree ant, but you're kind of like in your appearance. You kind of look like an evil tree ant,
Oh, Jesus.
or at least a very witchy tree ant.
A spooky
Spooky.
vibe.
It's very, very, yeah, spooky. Yes,
Someone's been watching Agatha all along.
I think in Pathfinder, the arboreal family, I think all of them have movement speed and basically have like tree trunk legs and whatnot. But yes, you are essentially in a large blighted tree.
Okay. And has anything about Marta's like thought process changed at all since this meditation?
Nope.
Okay.
The original purpose was that you were in battle, in a battle of wills with the blood axe.
Yes. Yeah.
And the only way to protect your friends from the influence of the blood axe was to battle it in a way. It had to do with the fact that the handle of the blood axe had been replaced by a piece of the grandfather tree. That was your in. And you used your magics to essentially merge with that. And ultimately you overcame it. You
But
essentially,
at the
cost of your physical form, the only way to keep it subdued, and essentially you have what would be considered a great axe. That is a part of you that you can wield, but it doesn't. It's dormant. It's kind of like you and only you can constantly hear its faint, whispered, psychological complaints in the back of your mind. Otherwise, your mind is entirely yours.
Cool. Okay. All right. So yeah, Marta, upon seeing them coming down the stairs, moves. I would imagine still getting used to her new limbs and being shambles forward. I'm so glad that you are both alive.
Hi, I'm glad you're alive too. You are considerably scarier than you were before.
Well, yes, I would say that a halfling is not quite as scary as a dark tree, but
Yeah.
do you think it might scare my students? Maybe it will get them to do their homework more.
Maybe.
And you hear this like rumbling, this like groaning, as if like the tree is trying to laugh.
That's exactly how Teera laughs back. He's like, yeah, maybe. Oh. Well, anyway, we did it. We fucked up a bunch of monks, and we and Doc. Has Marta met Doc? Doc, this is Marta. She was
Marta met Doc.
Did okay.
Briefly,
I couldn't remember.
Back at the from the time of the spa until you made it to the grandfather tree was Doc and Marta.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, he's familiar.
yes.
Hello.
Hello again.
Doc, show Marta the lotus.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
You
got it.
see the black lotus flower, and you see its 4 petals.
Marta actually takes a step back. You don't want to hold that too close to me.
Well, how
Okay.
come?
I have a bit of an aura about me. It doesn't make plants so healthy when they're around me.
Oh.
So
Well,
best,
It-
but that is wonderful.
there's 4 petals.
Doc,
I mean,
roll a d20 for me.
Teera points out there's 4 petals and just kind of nods and shrugs at how many of us there are.
14.
You see, as Marta says this and takes a step back, you see the very edges of the petals of the black lotus just begin to wilt a little bit. And then Marta takes a few steps back, and that wilting stops.
That is a peculiar entropy you have there, Marta.
Yes, it's another side effect of this.
Do you want to be like that? Do you want to be like that forever? Or do you want to go back the way you were?
Are you asking if I want to stay a tree that cannot go towards any vegetation and constantly leaks this strange black ichor?
I mean, I think I know. I just don't want to put words in your mouth, or whatever you have now instead of a mouth.
I appreciate the sentiment. Yes, I would very much like to not be like this.
Well, I think we can make a petal for that, don't you think? And I look around at, I look at Doc and I look at Kane.
Are we sure that his is a petal and not the entire flower that we must use?
We are not.
Ah.
Based on how things typically go for us and the way this story seems to be writing itself, I would say it's one for each of us.
Perhaps we should maybe think of the most important thing that we want to wish for, and then do that, and then everything else is just a bonus.
Well, that's easy. It's getting my daughter up there.
Well, we have to be careful about how we wish for it, you know? What do you think, Kane? What would you do? Think about it.
That's all I've done is think about it. I would wish Alina Frostheart never learned my daughter's name, had never found her, and was safe home with her mother.
Well, I mean, that would leave her open to learning all that shit again, right? She's determined. She knows about you.
Once she's safe, we will kill her.
I mean, believe me, I think we can kill her too, but you know how battle is. Weird things happen. What if... And I just kind of like leave that hanging in the air, like,
we can't
essentially,
touch...
what if we don't win?
We cannot touch Melina. You saw what she did to little Teera.
Yes, I saw.
She gets so much as paper cut. Teera gets the same.
I know. So...
I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of wish Flip was here. He knew a lot.
Yeah, but Flip would talk around in circles for 3 hours and then we'd be right where we started.
But Flip seems like he would be the one who would know whether or not this flower is good for 1 or 4 wishes. Maybe each one is worth 3.
Doc, do you know? You're a flower guy. You're a botany guy.
That's true.
Do you have any idea?
I mean, I came here from another dimension. I might know.
Well, can you search your brain for us?
Yes. But first, I have to tell Marta a joke.
Oh, God.
Marta, what does a tree wear to the beach?
Oh my God.
I am not sure. What does a tree wear to the beach?
Trunks.
Teera pulls out a flask and drinks.
You hear the
entire
groaning
contents.
noise again of the tree.
It sounds like when a tree is irking back and forth in the wind.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. That is great. It was very funny, Doc. Very funny indeed. Now, could you please search your memories and see if this lotus is worth 4 wishes or if it's worth 1?
Yes.
I would allow for Doc or Marta to make a recall knowledge check, specifically in the nature or occultism check areas, or arcana.
25.
Are you checking as well, Marta?
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at my 27.
As the two of you dig into the depths of your knowledge, you realize, you remember, you know that this particular flower, the black lotus, grants wishes based on the number petals between 3 and 6.
Yes.
In every occurrence that anybody has ever had a chance to study or get their hands on a black lotus, been confirmed that each petal functions as a wish. Marta, you know one additional fact. Once the first wish is made by plucking one of the petals, the remaining wishes must be made within 7 days, or the black lotus will wither and die.
Noted. Well,
It's each petal, one per petal.
yes, yes. Teera, that's exactly the reaction
My
she
word.
had.
Immediately, Kane holds out his hand. Petal, please.
Well, Kane, hold on, wait, just wait. Are you sure? We've got to make sure there's no malarkey that can happen, in the cosmos or something.
May I make one comment?
Of course.
Kane, your wish is terrible.
Dude, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
What did you think I was going to say?
That's a mean comment, Doc. I thought maybe you would keep that kind of comment to yourself.
Oh no, I was telling him the truth, because that's 3 wishes. He wants to be away, he wants his daughter to be safe, he wishes Melina never knew her name, and she was safe at her mother. That's 3 different things. The first wish is going to destroy the petal.
If she had never learned her name, she would never have been able to find her and take her away from her mother.
But, I mean, if it is that she never knew her name, that doesn't get little Teera out of here, does it? It's just going to stick her in that house.
If
And
she
Melina
never
doesn't
knew
know her
her
fucking name.
name, she would never have been able to find her. I don't know a lot about how magic works, but if she was never able to find her, then how could she be here in the first place?
So that's how you're going to say it. You wish Melina never learned her name.
You see, for a moment, Kane falters. Let's see. Yeah, Kane. Well, I guess in my mind I thought that would be enough, unless there's a better way to word that.
Hearing you explain it, I think, Doc, I think you might be right. If she never learned little Teera's name, then little Teera would be home safe with the mum. I think maybe that's our best bet for now. And if it's not, you got 3 more petals, eh?
One for each of you. You can keep them for the rest of your life, for all I care. Put it in a locket and save a wish for a rainy day.
Well, actually, it's only for 7. The first wish is, I can imagine the Marta
Marta
tree
just
kind of,
actually came.
the Marta tree just kind of, leans into frame at this very intense moment.
Excuse me.
Just a branch finger.
Amazing.
I love it, Marta.
It's only
Just
for
actually.
7 days once the first wish.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, Kane, my wish is as good as yours if you need it.
Do you all know what you would wish for?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
What about you? And he kind of looks up at Marta. If the petal's going to wilt, you get too close to it, how will you use a wish?
Well, I suppose one of you will have to make a wish for me.
I can. I will.
I was thinking about it. I would like my wish to be what I originally came here for. And that was to save Togo. He does not deserve to be stuck down there as he is for the rest of his life. And I made an oath to figure out what has happened to him and to help him. And I will do that. She looks to Teera. If you can do that for me.
If that's really what you want, I can.
The tree nods.
And yeah, Teera nods. That's a big bummer, but she'll do it. So Teera is kind of like, do we all just have one of these petals in our hand?
Doc still has all 4 petals at this point.
Doc, let me see the thing. Let me have my petal, please.
Doc will hand one to Teera.
And Teera just kind of has it in her hand, and she's like,
you hand the petal to Teera. Marta, you know the 7-day countdown has begun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, no, sorry, you don't know that. Or you know that once the first wish is made. That's right. Sorry, it's not as soon as you pluck the petals. It's as soon as the first wish is made. Kane is trying desperately not to reach for one. You give one to Teera, and he's kind of like wringing his hands. He's like waiting for a petal. Gonna make you a wish now.
I think you should first. That way, if something doesn't work out, I can clean it up, you know?
Feel good about this wish. May I?
Doc will pluck a petal for Kane.
Kane holds on to this petal as if at any moment it's going to disintegrate. He's cupping it in his hand so that even the most subtle errant breeze can't blow it away. And he just looks down at it like he's looking at the most precious treasure. I'm supposed to wish it out loud. Just think the wish.
I mean, if you say it out loud, you're thinking it anyway, right?
Do you remember what we were told as kids on our name days? You say a wish out loud, it won't come true.
It won't come true. I'm pretty sure that's a superstition. This feels a little bit more real than that, wouldn't you say?
And he kind of takes a step back, like, and then he takes another step back. I don't know what's going to happen. And he kind of holds it up. And holds it up to his face. And he says, I'll try it quietly first. And cupping the lotus petal, he closes his eyes. And then he lowers his hand and opens it. And you see the black lotus petal in his hand laying there go and disintegrate. About less than 100 feet away at Melina's Frostart's cabin, you suddenly hear from within, "No!
Yes. Fuck her.
No, 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 no!"
Awesome.
And Keen's eyes get wide, and he just looks at you all, and he goes, "I think it worked." And you hear that screaming yell of Melina Frostheart begins to reverberate through this valley. And you hear the front door slam open as the form of Melina Frostheart wearing her cloak strides out the front door. "What did you do?" And as she's striding towards you, she throws back the cloak, revealing on each shoulder the decaying head of Verona Briarheart and Ravona Shadowheart.
Mm-hmm.
You see the purple glow in the eyes of the Shadowheart head, green glow in the eyes of the Briarheart head, and the icy blue glow in Melina Frostheart's eyes as she walks about 20 feet towards all of you and stops. What do you do?
Teera would draw her sword. I think she would probably draw her sword as Melina is walking up. And I guess Teera would just look at Melina and say, "You have no claim over me and my brother. Or anyone else. You should go back into that cabin and just be with your other little weird coven."
Just to mess with your head a little bit, Teera, I will be using the Teera dice on all of Melina Frostheart's attacks.
So will I, motherfucker. Okay.
So she gets a 37 in her perception. She looks at each of you and she sees Doc holding 2 petals of the lotus, and she sees you, kind of looks over to you, Teera, and sees and you see the grin cross her own face, and then you see it echoed in the lifeless faces of the 2 other heads. "So, there's more wishes to be had. I will pry those flower petals from your dead hands." And she's going to try to make an action which is going to trigger a roll for initiative.
Bless them. Bless them.
Ooh.
Okay. Okay.
So she... Alright, Doc, what you got?
Sorry, I sent Em a message that my decision will based on what they say.
Okay.
Okay. Doc is going to look at Melina as Teera draws her sword. He's going to pluck a petal, and he's going to say, "Die."
Oh.
And he's going to look at Melina.
Interesting. You're looking right at Melina.
And as I'm looking at Melina, I'm thinking that I wish her coven was all dead.
Goddamn.
Okay. Gary, I would like you to roll a D100.
Okay. Um, 83.
There is a 1% chance of something about to happen.
Oh my god.
And I'm looking for... You rolled an 83.
Mm-hmm.
I've just rolled the dice. I'm not touching them.
You're
I'm
kidding.
going to photograph
You are kidding me.
these dice, and I'm going to send them to you all in the Discord.
There is no fucking way, dude.
This is what I rolled on the Teera dice.
Is that an 8 or a 3?
It's an 8.
That
That's
is
an 8.
88.
Ooh.
There was a 1% chance. I did not specify what Melina Frostheart was doing in her cabin.
Oh god.
She has one spell in the coven that, had it been cast prior to her coming out, prevents her from dying
Just
as part of what it does. One spell specifically says the target can't die from taking hit point damage, and its dying condition can't increase to a value that would kill it. There was a 1% chance that she had prepared that spell before coming to the door. Calling on the magic, the rare wish magic, Black Lotus Flower. What happens, Doc? Melina Frostheart.
yeah, dude.
I will say these words because you circumvented an initiative roll. How do you end Melina Frostheart and her coven? You snuck that.
Yes.
You snuck that in at the last second because my
Wait,
workaround
wait.
was that Melina was going to die.
But then
and
she
the
would
two
just be a
coven
weekend
were
at
going to be
Bernie's with her
partially-
two fucking.
Gary and I have been playing together for too long, I think.
Oh no, I saw that coming.
Yeah.
As Doc looks over at Marta in her cursed wooden form, he thinks to himself that he has a choice, and the choice is to guarantee an end to the coven of Melina Frostheart, or to relieve Marta of her curse. And he decides that the end of the coven is more important. And as he whispers the words, they dance across the wind, touching the ears of each member of the coven. The two undead heads glance inward, almost as if they realize first what's about to happen before Melina does. Her grandeur, her haughty manner, her being one step ahead, all ends because of Doc.
Yes. Yes.
Her smile begins to fade. Her eyes begin to glass over. She doesn't understand what's happening. In a moment, Doc is able to cross the field and whisper in her ear, making sure that if they ever meet again, she'll know. It was me.
My God. Oh my
Before
God.
the life ends and the last whisper of breath is exhaled from their now dead corpse.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well done. Hell yeah,
the
man.
death itself is as if, in an attempt to escape the power of the wish, a power so far beyond her own capable magic, every attempted spell is not even able to leave her body, instead enacting itself upon her. You watch as frost covers her body, shadow tendrils arc across the body, peeling away the frost. You see a blight taking over the body, and it's this constant occult, arcane, and nature magic vying for power that plays across her until her form, literally, with the two heads looking inward towards her and her eyes widening at your words, Doc. Melina Frostheart, as the coven, turns to ash, still holding her form. And as you whisper those words, "It was me," just the exhalation of whispering causes that ashen form to start to blow away. And without ever beginning to even get to cast a spell, Melina Frostheart is gone. Now I would like Teera to roll me a D100.
Okay.
And I am doing the same.
Okay.
This is another 1%.
Five.
I thought for a second I rolled 88 again. It was 48. Kane steps next to you, Teera, and almost involuntarily reaches out. For just a split second, it's little 6-year-old Torin grabbing his big sister's hand.
Mm-hmm.
As Kane struggles to believe that this could be true. And even in your own mind, you know the power that Melina has displayed over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Literally summoning you to her home, trying to convince you to join her as a member of her coven. And for a fleeting moment, you think there might be some small spark of magic remaining as some of this dust of her form blows across towards you. A single fleck of ashen dust of Melina Frostheart seems to hover in the air for a moment, and then and that thought is gone, as is Melina and any threat she ever posed. Yet Torin still holds your hand.
I mean, I feel like if we say it's over out loud, we're kind of putting a jinx on it, eh?
Kane takes a step forward towards Doc. Is she really gone?
Doc had knelt down by the corpse of Melina, and he's sort of hears Kane's question, and he kind of spins around so that he's sitting on on his bottom, and he's holding his knees. A look of something you've never seen on his face is something you can't ignore. He looks tired, and he's paler than you've seen before. And he's going to say, yes, she's gone. She's gone for now. Gone forever.
Was that what you used your petal for?
Yes.
Kane steps forward, letting go of your hand, Teera. Kane just
Yeah.
rolled a nat 20 on perception for a total of 36. As he rushes over to Doc, are you okay?
Doc is going to smile, and he's going to look up at Kane, and he's going to sort of grab him by the arm and pat him softly. And he's going to look into his eyes with a warm and genuine feeling. Almost something like love, if Doc could feel such a thing. And he's going to say, well, this was a one-way trip for me. I can't go back. There's no place for me.
Teera comes up behind Kane and hears that last bit and like, what do you mean? Like, I have this. I could send you back wherever you wanted to go if you want to go.
No. I used all my power to get here. There's no place left for me. And then he sees Teera hold the petal in her hand, and he sort of clasps her fingers around it. I used my wish. You should use yours. I did what I needed to do. You called for my help, and here I am. And he's going to sort of look at Teera, and he's going to look at Kane, and he's going to say, his skin is getting paler, almost translucent, as if he was sort of fading from their view. He's going to say, I will make you one promise, though.
All right.
In the grand feast hall, I'll hold you each a chair, and I'll save you a drink, so that when it's your time, you'll know that there's somebody waiting for you.
And I think Teera does like, I think she would probably, she doesn't hug him because she thinks like maybe if she does that it'll like make him poof faster. And so like she would like hold on to his arm kind of as long as is possible.
And his form sort of continues to fade. The large hammer and the backpack that he's not attached to seem to be there and in place. He's gonna say, I know it turned out that your parents weren't really your parents, but family is what you make it, and the heart decides who your family is. And I never want you to forget, as long as you live, that there were people who loved you, and there were people who cared for you, and there were people who made sure you were okay. And he's going to gently run his fingers along Teera's face, and he's going to smile. And he's going to fade completely from view. And out of his pocket there's going to be a picture that is drawn in crayon of a large figure in a lab coat and a little girl with blonde hair, and it's going to float down to the ground. And it's going to rest where he leaves.
I think Teera would like pick it up and put it in her pack. And then just kind of stand there for a little bit.
You
And kind of like, yeah.
you hear an involuntary sort of, and see Kane kind of wipe his nose and
I didn't think there could be so much dust in the snow. I think I'm having allergies.
Kane looks down at what remains, the pack, and the ridiculous hammer. Ridiculously sized hammer. And Kane doesn't touch the hammer at first. He crouches down after you pick up the drawing. And then he kind of makes a motion. He wipes his eyes one last time. I'm not wiping my eyes. I have no reason to wipe my eyes. As he reaches out and touches, and you see the wetness of his tears as he touches the head of this giant hammer. And he says, Doc's final blessing. And you see the tears sort of absorb into the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
As Kane has just, in the wake of Doc's sacrifice, has just named this hammer. And then he reaches down and he picks it up.
And Teera smiles and she kind of shakes her head too and has like that kind of like chuckle to herself and like, save me a seat. Oh, good old Doc.
Marta?
Well, and I just kind of like him holding my little pedal, trying to decide what to do with it now. And Tira's quiet for a bit.
There would be also the remaining pedal that represents Marta's way. There.
Right.
Marta, what are you doing of this whole scene?
I imagine that you see the form standing there, but in such a way that is reminiscent of how Marta stood. I imagine that maybe there's a branch that she's leaning on similarly to how she would lean with her quarterstaff. And so it's very, very reminiscent of that. She watches on this scene, not wanting to get too close to the flower. But she watches on with this, just this respect and quiet, nodding as Doc had did what he came to do.
At this point, the first rays, the morning sun, are beginning to illuminate. Everything's already steadily becoming brighter. But in this moment, as the three of you stand around looking at all that remains of Doc, this empty space in this backpack, the first rays of light pierce over the distant mountains. And you notice the backpack is moving a little bit. Like it kind of, and then it just kind of and falls flat onto the sort of the part where the straps are, where we put on your back.
Teera would kind of like lean away and then kind of like flick it open with her foot.
kind of nudging the.
Yeah, just kind of like nudging it open, like the flap open, you know.
Oh, god damn it, every time! Oh, in a backpack. Flip is gonna roll out
Jesus Christ.
of the backpack.
God
and
damn it. Motherfucker.
He's like, he looks like he's been completely compressed in this tiny space for a year. And he's like, well, did I miss a lot?
Were you in there the whole time?
Well, not technically. We can't share the same space. I had to go.
Yeah, I think everything's fine. We're all still alive.
Well,
We could have really used your help, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't my help you needed. That's why you came. I couldn't have gotten you the flowers. He did.
I guess, yeah.
You know, I see you're crying there.
No, I'm not. Shut up.
And, it's funny. 'Cause, you know, when a story ends, there's opportunity to tell a new story. And, I hope that you have the chance to tell a good one.
And I think Teera would look down at her petal. And, would kind of like shake her head. And she would look at Flip, and she would look at Kane, and she would look at Murda. And be like, I want to do something selfish, but I know I shouldn't do something selfish. It's not right. I shouldn't, right? Being selfish is not a good thing.
You have deserved it, no? You have been through so much. You have been selfless in so many ways. You have given up so much. Why not get a little bit of what you deserve from the universe? You call that selfish. I think it is called fair.
Yeah, maybe. Well, and I think I know what I'm gonna do. Teera would go kind of off. I have to imagine there is at least a small precipice that is like a little bit towards the sun, and she would kind of go off by herself, and you would see her. You would see her like hold on to the pedal, and you would see her like kind of like whisper to it like Kane did. And then you would see her kind of like look at her own hand and then just kind of like watch it go and then like close her hand. And then she would just kind of stand there for a second. And she would rejoin the party and come back and just be like, it's done. And it was a good wish. I want you all to know that, but I'll tell you what it was later, if you don't mind.
I don't care.
Believe me, Flip, I know you don't. And she would kind of like, are we in an Arctic environment or a desert environment? I forget where we're at.
You're in what would be considered a sort of a halfway between a grasslands and mountainous.
Gotcha. if there's dust on the ground, I kind of just like flick my toe in such a way where it goes up in Flip's face.
As Teera does that, he's gonna walk over, and she's gonna be towering above him, and he's gonna reach up and he's gonna wrap his entire hand around her index finger, and he's gonna lightly pat the back of her hand.
Oh my god. Tira's concerned that maybe he's like casting a hex or something, but then she kind of like softens a little bit.
Kane crouches down, and when he stands back up, he's holding that last petal. He glances over at the tall corpse root arboreal form of Marta. He looks down at his hand, and he looks at you, Teera. And then he holds his hand out, hands the last black lotus petal to you. This one is Marta's.
And I kind of look over at Marta. And I would just say, like, are you sure? Like, you won't be able to be a professor anymore. You won't. I mean,
I know that. I have done many, many evil things in my life. It is a little ironic that when I start doing good, that I turn into this. But I made a promise to my sister that I would keep my word, and I would keep my promises from now on, and that is what I need to do. This needs to go to Togo.
and Teera would just nod and then say into the lotus petal, I wish Togo was unpetrified.
As you say the wish,
And he I don't know. Yes, I think that's good. I'm rushing into the wishes now. We're
as you
just
say
like,
the
we're
wish,
fucking throwing around wishes.
the sun is now brighter. That eastern light kind of creating these edge lights around you all. It's now illuminating the cabin of the late Melina Frostheart. And you hear the front door open. And out of the cabin, you see
Can he fit?
a green draconic figure, a red draconic figure, and a black draconic figure. As the three dragon antes all step out, kind of in particular, Auntie Portentia, or sorry, Auntie Nocturne, the night hag, kind of squints at the bright morning sun. They all step out onto the porch of this cabin. And Auntie Hero, the green hag, the one who was always the most talkative of them, hello! And then she turns, she goes, it's all right. You can come out. And you see movement through the open door. And then you see the large head dip down as a large turtle man emerges through the front door. He's turning sideways to kind of maneuver his shell through. What, if anything, does Togo say upon emerging from this cabin?
you see Togo come out, and he like brushes off like any dust or any debris that he had collected
Amazing.
while trying to get through the door. And he looks around, kind of confused a little bit, and well, it looks like y'all went and had an adventure without me. Gosh.
Golly. Oh my god.
Next one, he says.
And as you say that, there is a bit of a shadow that in the, those long morning shadows, as something in the sky creates this shadow over your group. And momentarily, all you can see is the bright sunlight. There's a silhouette of a form in the sky. And then that form settles down to the ground next to all of you as the Zephyrhawk lands nearby. The airship that Flip is essentially the captain of. The three dragon aunties, they look to Marta. Oh. For all of her, well, for as much as a bitch as she was, Melina Frostheart has vast repositories of knowledge within the rooms of this cabin. And with her dying, the method of movement of this cabin has also died. If you're looking for a way to get back to your halfling form, perhaps the magic is contained within these rooms. If you'd like to help three old ladies maneuver around the realm.
The Marta tree. Yes, she looks around. There must be so much information here. I would be happy to join you.
And I think as this is said, the camera is slowly panning away, further and further. And as the sun rises on this new day, and the camera kind of pans to look at the sun, the morning sunrise, we see a bit of a flare of the bright light, and in the white screen we just see black letters appear. 1 year later. I would like to start with Marta, then to Flip. I will do Kane, and then we'll end with Teera. What happens 1 year later? Where are Marta?
I do think that Marta is still a tree. I think that that's just what has happened. She has come to terms with this. She doesn't seem particularly upset or perturbed. She wanders and reads all of the books and information, and I would say she makes the three aunties just promise that we continue to do good as we travel, good deeds every so often, even if it's not something that we can directly show, but maybe you hear whispers of a of good things befalling a disaster-stricken town suddenly, overnight, has food bestowed upon them, supplies, everything like that. These little small acts as they travel around the realm, and Marta continues to search for a cure, though I think you'd find that less and less doing that now, and more so collecting knowledge for her magic.
Within the magic cabin that once belonged to Melina Frostheart, each wall of the main room has a door. Each door, if knocked on in a specific sequence, the antis show you this, the door opens in a different direction and different rooms are accessed. There appears to be an almost infinite number of rooms. There are many rooms that have not been discovered. But one thing, Marta, that you discovered is there is a library that rivals some of the greatest libraries on other realms. I imagine this cabin has become almost like a tree house now, as you have become a part of the magic that maneuvers it around, and wherever these good deeds happen, there are rumors of a magical tree house appearing in the nearby forest. And as the witches present another situation where they can do good, and Marta sets one of the books down, or I imagine almost like a tree branch, placing the book back inside through the window of the treehouse. And with the three antis sort of hanging out the window and the treehouse striding off into the distance, what we on the camera see is on the branches on the backside of what would be like the shoulders of Marta, you see a single green leaf and a single white flower beginning to grow in what was previously a blighted form.
Oh.
Flip.
Flip is promoting his new book. It's Elementary, about a hero who did evil deeds and was turned into a tree, but through their kind actions was seeking the path to redemption. And of course, the foreword suggests that it's not based on any creature, living or dead. And as he is using the Zephyr Hawk to traverse the realms, the continent, to do shows and gigs and do research, he's accompanied by a small moon dragon that he found in the backpack alongside him. And he casually calls the Moondragon Doc. And as he gets to his next gig, he has a parcel. It's a small box that he's been looking at for a while, but he hasn't sent. And he pulls out the purple quill that was in Doc's backpack. And he sort of like shakes his head as if, yeah, now's the time. He opens up the cover of the book and he writes something. And then he scratches it out. And then he flips the page. And then he writes something else. And he looks approvingly at this book. And he puts in a business card that says Flip, lawyer for the trolls of the dam. But as he closes the book, it says bound in leather and stamped in gold foil. It says "The Sun on My Face" by Teera, the Sun-Maned. And if you flipped open the cover, it would say, "My name is Teera, period. My life began when I met Flip." And then that's crossed out. And then the next page is started again in Flip's handwriting. But this time it says, "Call me Teera, period." And on the other page, beside that, he started to tear it out because it's clear that he wasn't intending that this would be part of the book. He's going to say, "Tell a good story. You've earned it." And he's going to sign his name. And he's going to close the box. And it's going to disappear. And he's going to send it to his friend Teera.
Somewhere down the road, while on tour with your book, Flip, perhaps at one of the larger booksellers in Absalom, you have a crowd of people wanting to see the incredible Flip, that want to have their copies of your book signed, admiring that every time, it seems to be almost constant, that Flip's cape is fluttering in the breeze as everybody is whispering Flip's name. And as you hand off another copy of your book, a person steps forward, and you see a large blue hand place a copy of your book and say, "Could you make it out to Vaughan Reed?"
Flip is going to take the large hand in his, and he's going to clasp it on both sides. And he's going to pull out his quill, and he's going to reach into his pack, and he's going to pull out a small vial of ink, and he's going to very delicately unscrew the lid, and he's going to place it on the table beside him, and he's going to dip his purple quill in the purple ink, and he's going to say, "To Vaughan Reed, the adventures of the past are nothing compared to the adventures of the future. Be yourself. Your friend, Flip."
And with that, we see somewhere in the north, in the land of the Mammoth Lords, we see footprints in the snow. Adult footprints next to it. We see the smaller footprints of a child. And the camera swings along following these footprints, and after about 20 feet, the adult footprints turn into the padded feet of a wolf. And next to it, the child's footprints turn into the padded feet of a bear cub. And the camera catches up to the large gray wolf walking alongside a bear cub that's zipping through the snow between the legs of the wolf. And after a little while, they reach the edge of a wood line, and in the wood line we see a bear standing there waiting. And as this wolf and bear cub approach, we see them transform back into Cain and little Teera. as the bear turns into... I'll say her name is Yelitha. Actually, I have to admit, I lost her name.
No, Yeltha is not it. Yeltha was a bitch. This one is
no, not Yelitha. Sorry, Yelitha was yours. It's
yes.
not the mother, it was the daughter. But the one that the mother
her, of course.
But anyway, we see them now in their human form as young Teera runs up to her mother, and they head into the woods where we see them join the rest of the bear clan, the village in the tree line, and we see her mother, the mother of this woman, step out. She is the leader of the bear clan. And from her cabin, we see the shadow of another figure standing there. As we see her partner place his gray-green hand on her shoulder. And we know that Cain and Teera are safe in the land of the Mammoth Lords with the bear. Teera.
Mm-hmm.
What's Teera doing 1 year later?
So, I think the shot is Teera like looking at this a book that says "Tell a good story, you've earned it," and she like, as she's done probably many times, she has this purple quill that was gifted to her, and just like shakes her head and puts the quill in there almost like a bookmark, and can't decide what to write yet. And I think she would be kind of riding by and see this half-orc person, and she would know who it is, and she would just like look at him and kind of smile to herself, and she would kind of like, she would be going, I think Teera would be on her way to see Cain and see little Teera and whoever the hell Cain is married to. And as she's like walking, going through this, do they live like in a, what would you say they live like in a village, or
it's
just
a village in the woods?
Mm-hmm. And she would be on her way back, and you would see that as she comes into this village, she's moving very comfortably. It's like she's from here now. And I imagine she comes into this village and she has her own little like hut here. And she would like come in and put her stuff down, as she has done a zillion times. And she comes back out and is just kind of like looking down the street, and she just takes like a big deep breath. And she watches as Vorn and this other person kind of just walk away. And she smiles to herself. And she thinks that she could have wished for him to know who she was the way they did before. But that would have put him at risk, because despite everything, Teera just can't get out of her head that maybe Melina's not gone. And even if Melina is gone, it feels like there's something, doom of some sort following her. And so she thinks it's probably best if he just goes on with his life and doesn't remember any of what they had. And that is what she wished for. And Teera just has her own kind of life in this little village, and she would go to a couple houses down, and she would knock. And she'd be like, "Teera, come on out, it's time." And she would like knock again a little harder. Like, you all ready, aren't you?
You were hit by a fuzzball as a bear cub leaps out of the window into your arms.
And it's like, I hate it when you do that. Can't you switch back?
You immediately hear the childish laughter as she shifts back into her human form.
All right. Well, do you want to learn to fight with a sword, or do you just want to bite everything for the rest of your life?
She playfully bites at your hand with her human teeth.
Hey. And Teera, I think, would like put her like palm right on little Teera's forehead and like Heisman her, and be like, "Well, you tell me whatever you want to work on today, because I can bite too."
And I think we see with that as Teera and little Teera head off to the part of the forest where they train. And as the camera begins receding away through the wood, we see the two of them sparring. Teera with her sword, little Teera with her sword. And as the camera pans away from this scene, we see the whole scene sort of almost fisheye for a moment. And then there's this sort of glass thing. And we are now seeing this scene through a crystal ball on a table. There's some books and a candle. And then a slightly purplish hand sets down a half-empty champagne glass with mimosa in it. And we just hear
Yes.
as we fade to black.
That's
And thus
awesome.
ends Scribes and Scroll.
That's great, guys.
Gary, you made me
Awesome.
tear up.
Gary, fuck, man.
I
That was
didn't.
Really good.
I didn't even see the sacrifice of Doc coming in that way.
Oh, God.
I've never been so glad to have a fully realized custom Pathfinder monster in the three-headed witch coven be completely useless. But
I wish for her to die. Well,
I was
fuck you.
prepared for that possibility.
Oh man.
You're muted.
I only have one regret, and it's that it's Doc would have said, "I wish that you stopped existing,"
What? How would that have made it better?
because, and we talked about this in the direct message, is that the difference between death and ceasing to exist is that one
Oh.
of those things isn't permanent,
Right.
and that Doc is now in the hall of in the grand hall, and Teera's worried and he's disappointed that he didn't give her that clarity.
To be fair, I don't think Teera's smart enough to recognize the delineation. So that's
But Doc would have known.
Doc
No,
would have known.
that's- yeah.
I could not have planned for nor wished for better ending to this campaign. I felt 100% comfort in kind of leaving things up to you all, and sometimes things are resolved without there ever having to be a fight, and in this case it was the most epic non-fight there could have been.
Awesome.
It is
So good.
it's weird ending a campaign, even when you have a more or less happy ending. You're still saying goodbye to characters you've spent a long time, and that's always hard. But I think all of these characters have had some epic adventures, and we kind of got to see where a a little bit of where everybody wound up. Even if I couldn't remember Kane's wife's name.
What was her name? It was something like.
I know it began with a Y. That's all
I know, yeah. It was
that's
like, it wasn't Egret, but
that.
it was like something like that.
Yeah, somewhere I'll find my notes, but I want to share something that, not it fully, but something that was said in the side chat. So, in my D&D campaigns, we always had a shared world. The things that were happening in one campaign, others were elsewhere, and there were often references to characters or events from other campaigns. This campaign may be over, but there are a new set of adventurers preparing to begin their adventure in Golarion. It will be coming in the not too distant future on Monday nights, taking the time slot, although I think we are going to start at 8:30 on that one. I don't remember. But stay tuned for that. But that does mean that there are certain characters that are coexisting in the world. So we may or may not have seen the last of Flip, Teera, and Marta. Togo, even, for that matter. Mizya. Who knows? So, I will also throw just this one little thing out. Essentially, you each have one of the quills that Mizya gifted. They are essentially what allows her to scry on you, just to make sure you're safe. Mizya is just keeping an eye on you all from a distance.
That's perfect.
I want to just say thank you to all of you. I know things were kind of uncertain when we decided to switch to Pathfinder, and we've had some issues getting the finale off the ground. But I'm so glad that we were able to finally make this happen, and that it happened the way it did. It's been so incredible getting to play with these characters and build stories together over the last a little over 3.5 years then we started, for 113 sessions, for what has to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 hours of gameplay. This has been incredible. And I look forward to telling other stories in other capacities. We've all played other games together, and I think if you scour Gary's Fort Nerd channel, you might find me running games over on the Fort Nerd YouTube channel from past games. A little something called Dreadful Tales, perhaps.
Ooh, there we go.
Or I think they're on my YouTube channel, the Liberation of the Evangeline series, where you may see a different version of Flip. Cari will be joining us in the new campaign, the Seven Dooms of Sandpoint.
Playing a tiny, skinny nothing.
Yeah.
How about that?
A non-barbarian character.
Yeah. It's really out of my wheelhouse.
And of course, you can see Em and Cari here every Thursday for Kids on Bikes, and Em is here on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday, for our Sky Metal Iron Gods D&D campaign, which I'm a player in that, and I play. It's another version of a bear. You're Simigor the bear.
Simigor.
So lots more games to be had, but since this is the finale, before I say a final goodbye, I would like each of you, if you want, say any final words.
I mean, thank you guys all for doing this and sticking it out. And I mean, this was awesome. And I've never had a campaign like come to its natural conclusion before. It's always like they just kind of fizzle or whatever. And obviously, to not only have one come to its conclusion, a satisfying, like perfect conclusion in my mind, but have it end after so long, like whatever, what'd you say, 113 episodes or something.
Something like that.
That's just unreal. And I am very grateful to all of you guys. Thank you very much. This was terrific.
I can now officially say, Cari, that I won.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Didn't miss a session of this campaign. For those of you who don't know, Cari and I competed for attendance, and Cari lost.
I sure did. I had the gall to take a vacation with my family. Such an asshole.
No one ever saw what my absentee background looks like.
No.
And I feel satisfied with that. But on a more serious note, thank you all for letting me join you on this chaotic ship for the last 3 years. It has been full of ups and downs, and we've seen changes and turmoil and tragedy and joy. And I'm so glad that we were able to tell this story together and that it's coming to such a satisfying conclusion. I don't think I would have had it any other way.
And thank you for having me back. It was really cool to be able to have an ending to both of my characters, and just to be able to just see everything through to the end, see how the story came to a conclusion. So I appreciate the invite and happy that I could come in and play in this game one last time.
Well, with that, I will say a final thank you to everybody who joined us in this pre-recorded session, watching the live stream. Thank you for those who are, as always, who prefer to lurk quietly in the chat. If you're watching later on the VOD, know that we appreciate you and hope you enjoy these presentations. And final thank you to these amazing players, Em, Gary, and Cari, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for 3.5 years. With that, we're going to go ahead and end this session and this campaign same way we end every session. Say it with me if you want.
Barbarians are the best.